Not bad. Hi,
Hi.
everybody. I know Carrie's running late. I have no idea if Lachelle is going to be here. I thought Kathy said she was coming, so we'll see what happens. Might be a one-on-one. Who
It
knows?
could be. I'm not going to turn it down.
So, what's happening in your life?
Oh, well, we're sorting out this whole buying property
I
thing.
know, that's so exciting. Lasers.
Yay. Yeah, super
Yeah.
cool. Super excited about that. So yeah, we've got
So,
to actually have to see if she sent me the final contract yet. Got to
so
send
it's
some earnest money in.
land that you would eventually build.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Um, all right, she sent me all the information I need. Okay. Um, yeah, so it's land towards the beach. It's like 5 miles or so from the beach. So I don't have to
So,
worry about like crazy like hurricane stuff and flood insurance and that kind of
yeah.
stuff, but I'm close enough to the beach. And it's in a golf course community that's got like 4 golf courses. It's huge.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's right on the water. So there's a big, huge, golf courses always have big ponds and things like
Yeah.
that. So this
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
overlooks this big,
Water
beautiful
stuff.
pond with some golf in the background. And yeah, I'm just super excited.
Way cool. Oh, that's so exciting. And this is the one you really wanted in
Well,
comparison
this
to
is
the
the
other
one
one.
that like I didn't even think about. I put it completely out of my mind because it was way overpriced. And
Yeah.
so after we put the offer on the first land because it had a pond in the back, not as nice as this lot, but much cheaper, like over $50,000 cheaper. And so it was a weird sale. It was like an assignment sale, which basically means like another company's coming in and they're going to pay the owners, but not until they have a contract, right?
Oh,
So, like, once the
interesting.
due
Okay.
diligence is up, they close with the sellers and then turn around and close with you. And so, like, you ever see those signs on the side of the road that's like, we pay cash for your house?
Yeah.
Well, they don't actually pay cash until they have a buyer. And so then they assign the sale.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
it's a little it
It's
was
just
weird and we
unconventional.
were all kind of like I don't know, and so I was like we're gonna put in our offer and we're just not going to change it, like we're not going to get into a bidding war because they said they already had 2 other offers. I was like, if it's meant to be it will be, if not we're going to let it go and something else will come along. I know, look at me
That's
go.
so awesome.
And so they went with somebody else who put in a higher offer, and I said to my realtor, I was like, this property has been on the market for almost a year at 150,000. They have not lowered the price. What do you think? Should we call the real estate agent and find out what the deal is? And she was like, I know that real estate agent. I will call her. So she had just taken over the listing from another agent, and she had just had the conversation about um, you need to lower the price. It's not selling at this price. We're going to have to lower the price in order to make this happen, right? So it's an older couple. They bought it for like 295 and they had it listed for 150. So they were already taking a bath,
Yeah.
but they're paying the HOA fees and they're
Yeah.
paying
The taxes,
the
it's
lot
cost them.
maintenance
Yeah.
and the taxes and all of that.
Yeah.
So they've been paying it now for, however long, and it's clear that they're not going to build on it. So I was like, well, I said, what do you think it's worth? And she said, probably 115 to like 123. And I said, okay, well, I'm thinking 115 was probably where I was headed. She said, well, why don't we start at 105 and see if we can land at 115? So we put the offer in at 105, and wouldn't you know, they freaking took it.
Yay, that's so awesome.
And
And I'm
I've still never even seen this property. We've driven past it, but I never like paid attention to it because I was like, it's too
yeah.
expensive. I don't want to see it because it's going to be like so beautiful and I'm going to love it. And so she went, before obviously we signed the papers, she went and videoed it for me and took pictures and like walked me through the property so at least I could see completely.
That's so cool. I'm so
I
excited
know.
for you. And it's just so cool too that all of the, yeah, like it just shows evidence to the evidence bank of like you did have a deep desire to have that place. That's why you didn't want to look at it, right? Because you're like, I'm gonna fall in love with it, and I know I am, and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And so when are you guys thinking about starting to build?
So we can't move until Cohen graduates, and he's got 2 years left of school. So it'll take probably a year or so to get the build process going.
Yeah,
So we probably won't start until next summer, I would guess.
gotcha.
Um, yeah, probably next summer, I would guess is when we would start. So, but in the meantime, we have to pay the HOA fees, and they have a beach club at the beach. So it's basically like three-story,
can
you know, those big three-story houses. Yeah, because I'm part of the HOA, so we
Yeah.
can use the amenities. And we can use
That's
the beach
pretty
club.
awesome.
So it's a place to park for free, and it's a place to change, shower, put your cooler if you want to bring your cooler in, like whatever. It's just for residents. So I'm really excited about that.
Super cool. That's super
So when we
cool.
go to the beach, we don't have a place to sleep, but we have a place to go. Like, one of the things about going to the beach is
Yeah,
like public facilities are usually kind of gross, and
yeah, they are.
you're never sure like how far away you're gonna have to park from the facilities, use the restroom, whatever. So this one's like 2 houses over from the pier. There's parking, there's overflow parking. It's like right there. So yeah,
So awesome. I can't wait to see photos.
yeah,
That's so
yeah. Let me
perfect.
see. I'll show
Okay,
you.
and
I
why
can.
it's just the two of us too, if you don't mind, let's talk about the deal. They're much more flexible if I booked through them than if I booked through a third party person. Hey, Kathy.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
That's okay. We're glad you're here.
And Jim's
Which
in surgery.
Oh, he is today? I thought it was yesterday.
I do too.
No. Yesterday we found out he was going in today.
Oh,
So
Well, good. Yeah, so Pam, just let me know in the next couple of days kind of where you're leaning. I still have a question mark there, and so I'll tell her that when I talk to her, but awesome. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I would like the best thing that's happened to you over the last week and a win.
I think it's
wow.
Jim's in surgery.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty awesome. You've been waiting for that for a while.
Yeah, I think I manifested a little because it was going to be too close to the eclipse, which my friend lives right in the 100% zone, and so I'm going there. And I asked him if he thought he could go with, and he went, which is a maybe. So
Yeah,
is that a win? Um, is that a win? Maybe it's my win.
yeah. It feels
I
like a
also
win
like
to
the
you.
little story. My daughter um was sitting around with her roommates trying to figure out dinner, and a pizza arrived. I love that manifesting. And it was because my other daughter messed up and had her address on her DoorDash.
That's awesome.
That's like
I gotta-
it's like it can come with illogical out of left field. I love that.
I just ordered the actual real size book because this one, like you can see how tiny it is. Um, and I didn't realize I ordered this super tiny one, but if you have not gotten this book, I recommend it, and we might even work through it. Have you ever seen this?
No. Oh,
So for me,
cool.
that's great.
Yeah. And here's what's wild is like one of them, I can't remember the exact thing it says, but it's like look for a purple feather or like pick something that you want to find, right? And my friend, it worked for me too. And my friend, she lives in Florida and she said she was going to see a turquoise flamingo. Right. Well, then she realized she didn't leave her house for 2 days because it was like a 48-hour test. And she's like, yeah, that wasn't very good because I didn't go out and about. Right. So she redid the test. She walks into, it wasn't Walmart or Target, but someplace like that. And she was getting some stuff and she turned around and here was a bin with stuffed animals. And there was one turquoise flamingo in the whole bunch. And so it's really cool. It gives you these like different experiments to do. Um, so anyway, it's a good one.
Cool.
Um,
Cool.
okay, so that was your win
Yeah.
and probably the best thing that happened to you too. That's kind of a double whammy as far as like when I'm asking that question, right? It could be one of the
Um,
same, could be different.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I had a win. I went and picked up somebody's ski pants yesterday at the Alpine shop, which gave me a great opportunity to buy my invasive species stickers for my
So,
kayaks because it's been like in the 60s here, which is so unusual.
thanks for picking up my ski pants.
You're welcome. I say that actually because I don't go in there very often. And so it was a perfect, I said to him, I go, do you have invasive species stickers? We have to buy these stickers, Pam. Like they don't check our kayaks or boats or anything, but we have to buy these and it funds the project to keep out these like mussel things or whatever that attach because they have spots you have to stop if you take anything on the road into a different lake or whatever. So,
Well, that's why they check your kayaks.
mm,
I was like, that's a little government oversight. Okay, cool.
yeah,
There's
because they're
reason.
yeah, they're checking for a specific kind of mussel that like just destroys everything. And they're somehow down on the Snake River, which is south of here, there was a spot that had gotten infested with them. And so it's a pretty invasive thing. So what about you, Pam? What's a win or the best thing that's happened to you?
Well, the best thing is the land,
I know.
right?
Yeah,
That's
so
exciting. Which I feel like is also kind of a win, right? So I totally changed my thinking on that. Instead of getting bogged down in the fact that we didn't get the first one wasn't perfect anyway, we ended up with the one we really wanted, just by believing that we could do it.
Kathy, she's embracing the woo.
Woohoo! Sorry, the anesthesiologist was texting me. I'm like, this is a new era that the doctors text me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love embracing the woo-woo, like my daughter with a pizza just showing up.
Yeah, it's so
Right.
awesome. So awesome. Okay, so let me ask this. Where in your life are you feeling like you're resisting something or it's not the way you would like it to be?
Um, um, I guess the book. I'm still waiting on the and that represents, purpose and money.
Yeah, what are you waiting on?
So, the printer again.
To get back the new edits?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What would it take to get them to speed that process up? Is there any
I don't
inspired
know.
action to help that?
Um, I think really, honestly, the only thing I can do is see if I have energetic blocks because there's really the ball's 100% in their court right now.
Yeah. Is there a way to call them and find out what an ETA might be?
Um, yeah, my ghostwriter is the contact, and his brother's getting married tomorrow.
Ah,
So, I feel like I should wait a couple days. It's been 4 years. It's really 2 days for let him enjoy his brother's wedding, you know. So, so energetic blocks, couldn't hurt. It's not like
yeah,
I'm gonna
absolutely.
regret clearing a block. So,
Absolutely. It was interesting. I was thinking about you yesterday. So I joined this international networking group. It's called FemCity. And I was on a call yesterday that's like we set monthly goals and then we get on and support each other and talk about where we're at in our goals. And somebody was talking about property and houses and how like clearing the energy. I said, I know somebody that does that. If you would like their name and number, let me know. So
I'll call that a win.
yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
cool.
ask, but I'll be on another call with them next Monday. So
I was
yeah,
gonna say those ideas gotta have to sit and fester.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like reaching out to him and I would say too, I mean, I get what you're saying too, but it doesn't hurt to text and just say, enjoy your brother's wedding. And hey, when you're done, could you maybe follow up with the printer? But I also
Yeah.
get it if you just want to like leave that energy clean for him to go do that. But I would set a date for yourself of when you're going to reach back out to him and say, hey, can you follow up and just get an ETA so that we have somewhat of an idea?
Yeah.
Or does that
Yeah.
scare you to have an ETA?
No.
Yeah.
No. As I do my poker tail, scratching my neck right here.
Hmm.
That's my um I don't think so. I mean, I would have said no, but then I saw me doing that.
Mhm. I would just invite you to investigate that. And I would also invite you um to really try to
Because
get
I
a
do dread the marketing phase.
yeah, well, and then you just find people to help you with that.
And that to me means more money.
Could be, may not be.
Yeah.
You know, there's fans out there too that would help promote. So there's ways to do that. And we can talk about that a little bit more on your one-on-one.
Okay.
And then I would invite you to bring a copy of your book with you to Costa Rica. And if you um, would step into something that might scare you a little bit, I think it would be really cool if you took a small section and read to us,
Oh yeah, that one.
like you're reading.
That's
Yeah.
that's not triggering to me.
Okay, good.
Mhm. Going
Good.
to people who don't know that I'm all woo woo,
Yeah.
that would be scary. But the secret's out.
Yeah, I think the the four of us all know that. Yep. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll leave a
You
little
tell
bit
me
of
to do a presentation to my engineering graduating class, that'd be another story.
well, I'll leave some space for you to do that. We can sit by the pool or something and have you do a reading for us. Yeah.
Oh,
We'll
thank
take
you.
about half an hour maybe and do that. So
All right.
perfect. Pam, what about you? Anything like you've got stuff going on personally? You've got the business is growing, you hired a new person,
You
anything
got
you're
your off the books, off the wall?
yeah.
Yes. Well, and I ordered a new sign that came in time for Monday. It looks horrible. So
Oh,
it was done on frosted plastic, but they put it like behind the frosted plastic. I don't know, so you can't even see it.
All
It's
blurry.
not what I ordered. Yeah, it's awful.
you
So
know
I'm
what
gonna
I
have to
think
see
you
if I can
need?
get a refund and get them to send it back to me.
I think you need one of those, I forget what they call them, but they're the glass tubes that people have like open signs and like bar signs, like what am I trying to say? You know what I'm talking about with the
Yeah,
glass?
yeah, yeah.
What are those called? Why am I losing
I don't know what they're called.
because with those bright colors like lit up behind you, that'd be so
Yeah,
cool.
that would be really expensive to get a custom one of those.
It'd look really cool.
Yeah, so I've got it first. So now I have to figure out if I can get get a refund on the one that they sent me. Like, who looked at that and thought, yeah, let's ship that?
Yeah, I don't
Like, you
know.
can't
That's
even read it.
interesting.
It's so bad.
Mhm.
It's so bad. And I paid like $100 for it because I paid like $35 in expedited shipping.
Yeah.
So it's really sad. But anyway, I feel like the place that I'm really stuck right now is I've just not been able to do anything health related. Like, I'm not exercising. I'm not super being careful about what I'm eating. Like, I'm just feel like I'm like in that survival mode where I just have so much else going on that I just can't function. I can't focus on that. My uncle's been visiting, which has been wonderful. But you get out of routine and it's just hard.
Mhm.
And I feel like I haven't gotten back into routine since I got back from Vermont.
Yeah.
Um, and so I've been struggling with that. And working
Yeah.
with Joni, she originally wanted to give me like all these crazy supplements, and I was like, I have no logical reason why I wouldn't take them because I understand what they all do for me. I can't physically like bring myself to swallow that many pills. Like, I just, and unless, especially for things that you can't see and feel, right? Like, for example, if you take one supplement that suppresses your appetite. You can see and feel that. You know you're not as hungry, right? But when you're cleaning up all the other stuff going on in your body, you don't see and feel it necessarily right away, right? You're playing the long
Right.
game. And I
Or
just,
sometimes you don't feel it until you stop taking it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you notice your
Right.
energy go down. You're like, I
Right.
thought I was fine, but
yeah. And so I feel like I have a little bit of a, just like, can't quite get there. And so like, again, when I get into this feeling of overwhelm of like too many choices or I have to make a decision and I don't really want to make a decision, I just avoid the whole thing. And so this is not good. I have to be in a bathing suit in a month.
Okay, so let's talk about this because and I'm going to throw this out there and then we're going to dig into what the actual like thing that's stopping you. I think to give yourself a little bit of grace because part of what I'm observing is this is also like it feels like this is also part of the grief of losing your friend's dad because he was important in your life too. And I want to state this and see if it resonates with you that when you feel like the rest of your life is out of control, part of the control for you is to say, screw it, I'm going to eat whatever I want to, and I'm going to not exercise, which actually is the opposite, right? Which we know logically because it doesn't feel as good. And the endorphins and all of that kind of stuff. Does that resonate with you? Oops, you're on mute.
I think it's the flip side of that coin. It's not that I can control that, it's that I don't have to think about that. That's the one
Right.
place that I don't have to have control, right?
Right.
Like if I'm trying to eat well and exercise regularly, I have to be in control to do those things. I have to commit to getting up early. I have to commit to prepping my food. I have to commit to having the right foods in the house, all of those things.
Yeah.
But I'm already committing to like growing my business and buying this land and, doing whatever for my son. And, like there's just all this other stuff going on. So I'm like, okay, this one thing I can let myself not worry about right now.
Yeah.
But
It's
that's
that
the one thing
feeling
that
of
would help
over-
everything.
Yeah, it's that feeling of overwhelm, like there's so much going on, but I might offer up to you that it is a control because part of it is I'm controlling the fact that I'm just going to let it go. Right? Like the
Yeah.
control, like what I heard you say was more about discipline, right?
Mhm.
And there is some discipline, but what I hear you saying over and over again, not just today, but is how do I just make this part of my lifestyle versus something that I have to think about all the time,
Yeah.
right? And so because you feel like your thinking part of your brain is so full, it's like, I don't even want to think about that. It takes time. And I mean, I get it. I got my little notebook of here's what I'm eating today. And here's, and up at 10 o'clock last night, figuring out what I'm eating on Wednesday. So I make the right food tonight to be prepped for Wednesday. So I get that, like,
Right.
particularly in the beginning, right? When
Mhm.
you're doing those things. And so what would it take? Well, and I want to back up before I go into action. So what it sounds like to me too, is part of it is around decision, right? Like that's where part of the overwhelm comes in. And so it's easier to just go, I'm going to stick my head in the sand, right? And just not pay attention and maybe it'll go away, right? And I hear you and I see you right now going, yeah, that sounds pretty ridiculous, but it's what we do
No,
sometimes.
it's totally what I do. It's crazy. And I mean, I've realized that about myself. Like, holy
Yeah.
cow, I'm like seeing it in multiple places. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Well, so let's investigate that a little bit without judgment. Like when you let go of it, is there, like when we're talking about this even, is there a spot in your body that like feels pressure or feels pain? Like, is there somewhere in your body that when we talk about this overwhelm, you have so many decisions to make and so much on your plate and you're responsible and you're the one that has to make all these decisions and do all the stuff?
Not really. Maybe not anything different than normal.
Well, what's normal to you? Because it may not be normal.
No, it's funny. Every time I'm asked that question, where in your body do you feel it? It's either here or here, always. And it could just be the way I'm sitting.
Yeah. No.
Like, I don't-
Kathy and I are like, No. Well, and that's where like as you become more in tune too, your body tells you, right? So like this and that feeling, does it feel like pressure or is it burning? Like what's the sensation that you have on your chest? Because like I can even see like your décolleté or whatever it's like kind of turning red, right? Like
Oh yeah, I had my hair on. I was cold this morning.
and then the
But
back, like when you have stuff on your
Brace the woo woo.
right, that's right. Just feel it. But like when you have stuff here, it's about the weight of the world on your
yeah.
shoulder,
Burden.
right?
Mm.
Yeah,
But
burden.
also that comes from the way I sit at my desk and has been like a years long problem for me.
Well,
So that's why I'm
I
like,
mean,
I feel
my
it, but
neck,
I always feel it because the way I
my
sit with my
neck
mouse
really
and I'm
did
constantly,
itch. My neck really did itch,
uh-huh.
but why I noticed the itch right then in that moment, you know, why you have the heater on, I don't know. It's all related, you know.
Yeah.
You can find excuses. It's not that ice cream tastes good, it's that you're numbing something, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so I would just invite you, like, as you continue to go forward, like, feel into that, because for me, like, and see if this resonates for you, but it feels like a lot of pressure
Mhm.
that you have all these decisions on your back. And who shares those decisions with you? Anyone?
I mean, related to food, my husband, because he does grocery shopping, but he'll say, "What do you want? What do you want me to buy?" And if I don't tell him specifically, if I'm just like, get some healthy food, he comes back with random shit. I'm like, okay, I guess I better be more specific. but then I have to like stop and think about what do I want, and if I tell him this, what is that going to go with? Like, he's not going to think big. Like, okay, if she wants carrots, what is she going to eat carrots with, right? Like, or if she wants stuff to make a sandwich, what does she want to eat with that sandwich? Like, he's
Yeah.
very literal. What do you want? If I say carrots and grapes, he will come home with carrots and grapes. Period. Not like, oh, what are you going to eat those with? Right. So it
Yeah.
takes my time to like shift my focus away from whatever else I was doing to think about that. Usually at a really inopportune time, he's poked his head in my door and said, "Hey, I'm running to the grocery store. Do you need anything?" And because I don't have time to like shift my focus, I'm like, just give me whatever. Like, there's nothing I need, right? Because I just can't shift. So, but I feel like that's happening more and more where I'm like struggling to either even pick the one thing to focus on because
Mhm.
I feel like I'm just kind of getting pulled.
In so many directions. Yeah.
Mhm.
So before I ask the what would it take question, is he the type of guy that if you gave him like a meal plan, that he would go shopping for what's on that and then cook those things for you? Yeah. And I ask that because there's people out there that can do that for you. There's also like online, like, and I know it takes time to like check that out, but it's a short period that then has a long-term effect, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just committing the time to put my focus on it, right? Like that's just the thing. And so it's like, oh, this needs to be over here, that needs to be over there. Like I have to like, and then make the decision, right? Well, what are we going to eat for the next 3 days, right? Because then that's just three more decisions.
So what if let me ask you this. Are you really clear on, and this seems kind of maybe trite when I say it, and I don't mean it to be, but are you on like a program that you're trying to do like lower carb or just eat like whole foods or like tell me more about like health wise from an eating perspective, what you're looking at, because part of this is decision fatigue,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So
right now, like I'm not doing anything. Like
well, I know, but prior to
there's no
Vermont,
program.
prior to Vermont.
Prior to Vermont, it was really just about eating more whole foods, just eating better, more vegetables, more fruits, more nutrient dense foods,
Yeah.
skipping the fast foods, skipping the soda, skipping, ice cream and cookies and those kinds of things.
And do you think you could get specific about what that means to you? Meaning, like helping to educate him on what that looks like?
mean, I feel like he's pretty much on the same page, but he suffers from the same decision fatigue, right? We're like sick of the same foods. We're like, I don't know what to eat. What do you want? I don't know. What do you want? It's so ridiculous.
And it's not ridiculous. Don't beat yourself up. And part of why I understand this is I'm trying not to project because I do that too. And I feel like the rest of my world is like I've got so many decisions to make. I'm almost like screw it. I'm just going to eat whatever I have and I don't take time to think about what I'm going to shop for and I don't, it's like oh, I'll pick up the stuff that I get and I eat crackers and, my fake oat cheese, right? Like for dinner. And that's not good either, right? And part of why I asked that is there are some really good, like whole food recipe books that if he's the type of guy that would look through this and, you know, spend 15 minutes to say, okay, we're going to tab this and this and this for the next 3 days. Here's what we're going to eat. And then can go shop for that stuff. Like take advantage of that.
Yeah, yeah, he definitely could do that.
Because then that takes the decision off of you. And I know, like you said, he has decision fatigue too. But if you were vulnerable enough to say to him, you know what, honey, like I need some help right now. I feel like I've got so much going on in my business. And here's a cookbook. Like, I don't care what you cook in this thing. I hate mushrooms, so stay away from that. But like, can you just like over these next few weeks, like just plan what we're going to eat, shop for it. If I have something specific that I want at the grocery store, I'm going to put it on a sticky note on the refrigerator so that it's there or you can share notes, right? On your phone. And just give that over to him for a bit.
Yeah, it's an idea.
Like what would happen if you did that?
He'd probably do it for the first week. And then he would be, again, just annoyed that he has to make all the decisions because he doesn't want to make them any more than I do.
Then what if you took a Sunday or a Saturday as you sat down for dinner and said, okay, let's look at the cookbook and tab what we're going to do this next week?
Yeah, we used to be so good at that. We used to but then we realized we can't book more than 3 things at a time because then if things come up and we go out to dinner or,
yeah,
we don't cook one thing and then it goes bad and we waste food. So now we only plan
that's why I said
3
3
days at
days.
a time. Yeah.
Because that happens, right? And when you feel caged in, that's when all hell breaks loose too. Because then it's like, screw you, I'm not eating this, right? And that's kind of where I was talking about control earlier. Like when you have so many things going on, part of the control for you is to be able to say, screw that, I'm not taking care of myself because that is one area that I can like say I'm not going to do it, right? Like the adolescent comes out, and I don't mean that in a judgment way, but
yeah, no, it's totally true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so part of why I'm looking at that is I know that's something that you wanted to do because then what happens is our monkey brain looks for evidence to say, oh, here we go again. Right? Here's the deal. We all fall off the wagon. It's okay. You just got to get back on. Right? And it doesn't have to be so strict. Like if you know that there are certain foods that you snack on every week, like I know if I see my Wayfair stuff, I'm buying it because everybody like it's always gone when I go in there. So literally I bought 4 packages of the nacho cheese flavor because that's all they had. Right. And it lasts forever. And so if you know that there's certain things, then just already have that on a list. And, I think he might surprise you if you went to him in a vulnerable state, not just, hey, I need for you to do this, but hey, I'm really struggling here and I need is it reasonable to ask you to commit to 3 weeks to like helping me with these food choices while I get some of this other stuff, like get my arms around this other stuff? Because he loves you. He wants to do stuff for you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then if it starts kind of wean off, then you're like, hey, let's have lunch on Sunday and like, let's talk about the next 3 days. What are we going to have? Yeah. And like, I used to play a game. Like I'd star the cookbook, like I'd ask Zach, how many stars? And Brent, how many stars? And if it got so many, then it's like, oh, here's one we can do over again. I've got colored cards that literally, because I'm doing this carb cycling, that I'm going to put low carb items on cards high carb items, like, so I can just pick and say, okay, here, I need breakfast for this day. And okay, here's what I'm eating, right? Like I just pull it out and I don't even like care what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be nice. That would takes away the decision, right?
Right. I mean,
Just
I'm being honest, like I'm struggling filling out my friggin' bracket because I'm like too many decisions, right? So I get what you're saying, but it's
you
like
feel me.
you can just do little chunks. And if there's other areas of your life that you can take away the decision fatigue, right? Like, and I'm not saying wear the same soup, but like Steve Jobs, they wore the same stuff. And it wasn't
Mhm.
because they necessarily loved the jeans with the mock turtleneck or the blue suit that Obama always wore. It's more of it was just one less thing that they had to make a decision around for right now,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't mean that you don't have that. So if you have 6 or 7 outfits that you love, just wear those the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Like look for little ways that you can change some of that decision fatigue.
Mhm.
And then when it really comes down to it, Pam, like when we think about when you think about the language that happens for you when you're not taking care of yourself, what is that language like?
Hmm. I
Like what
mean,
do you
it's
say to
probably
yourself?
mostly I feel lazy.
Yeah, so you're
Like,
judging yourself.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because I have plenty
Objective
of time to
observer,
play.
you are not lazy.
But if I told you how many hours I play on my phone a day, right? Like if I took all those minutes and did something else with it, right, I would be so much more productive. And I feel like I could get myself out of this overwhelm if I could just get myself out of this overwhelm. Like if I could just like
Which is just a
stop
circle.
feeling like, okay, I just need some downtime. I'm gonna play on my phone for a little bit, right? Like, why can't my downtime be taking a walk or like reading a book or something? I did actually read a book. I read like 4 or 5 chapters on Sunday, and I
Yeah.
just like went upstairs and I was like, I'm gonna go sit on the floor, read my book. You guys watch TV. I'm just gonna because there was a lot of people in this weekend, and I needed
Yeah.
some alone time.
So
But
Pam, I'm gonna invite you, and part of why I'm asking like what you say to yourself is then you're making the choice. There's nothing wrong with playing games on your phone, but you're making the choice all the while saying to yourself, you're being lazy, you should go take a walk, you should go read,
yeah,
which is doing this, right?
which is the disconnect. Like I logically in my head, I'm saying, get up, fatty, and go take a walk.
Oh, look at that.
But like
Yeah,
here I am, like,
Get up, what?
nah, no,
I
I'm good.
know.
I'll just play on my phone. What is that about? Like I know,
Uh,
like, oh, this would be a great time to go take a walk.
I
But do I
think
do
that's
it? No.
adolescent rebellion.
Yeah.
Mm.
Something.
It
Yeah.
is when I
And
do it. Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
sure. And our adolescent works really well for us at times. And so part of it is switching that adolescent to say, haha, I'm going to take an hour off of the 2 hours I play games and I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z because it makes me feel good. So there's a
Mhm.
piece of this too, Pam, somewhere in here that doing things that take care of yourself, doing things that make you feel good. Because I've heard you say when you do those things, you actually feel better. You don't necessarily love to walk, but you chose to go walk because it does make you feel better. And so when you get to that point, it's almost as if like there's this thought of why should I take care of myself? Like there's a deeper root in there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Because I do know why. I do know that I should. It's
Well,
like I just can't spark the like action, right? Like all internally, I'm like, yeah, I should get up and exercise and do my morning pages because I felt so good that week. I was doing that before I went to Vermont, and I knew going to Vermont was going to kill all of that. And it was like, oh,
manifestation, right? Like you had in your mind, and I know because you and I talked about it, right? That this
mhm.
was going to happen. So you've identified that that happened. So now what would it take to get back to that? because you're worth.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like so I tried like 1 week just getting up and doing my morning pages. Okay, like I'm not going to get up extra early and exercise, then do it. Like I'll just get up and do my morning pages.
Yeah,
and I
just
did
do
that for
one.
like a week. Because I was like, maybe I'm trying to do too much. Like I'm trying to force, try and get the exercise in, eat better, do my morning pages, do all the stuff for the business, be available for my family. Like, okay, one thing. So I did the one thing. But again, it's like the second I don't do it once, I'm like, oh, well, there goes that. Like, like you have a streak going and you're like, okay, I'm doing good. 4 days in a row, 5 days in a row. And then it hits and you're like, oh, well, there goes that. I got to start all over again. And then it doesn't seem as valuable anymore because you have to start over. Sadly, no.
Like I was reading this thing about how we as women and men, like feel like consistency is we do it every day. And if we screw it up, then we're screwed up. And it reminds me way back when I used to be like, oh, I ate the cookie, so I've already screwed up the rest of the day. I might as well just eat like a crazy person, right? Like I had that mentality, and we're taught a lot of that mentality. Now, I'm not pointing blame in the teaching of that, but there's a lot of family units that was kind of the thinking process, right? Like I don't know about you all, but my mom was on every diet possible. Like cabbage soup, you wanted to just stay away from her when she was on that thing, right? Like there was just all this like angst about doing this, when in fact it's just about the little choices, but not beating yourself up if you don't choose to do something, right? Because consistency, if you think about us as women, we have a cycle, right? Now, some of us don't have that cycle anymore, but it does still happen physiologically in our bodies, right? And so that cycle is on a 27 days. Some people have longer or less. But if you think about within that 27 days, like before you went to Vermont, in the 27 days or in 2 weeks, how many times did you do the things that you wanted to? Because that's where we have to focus. Because when you continue to focus on when you're not doing it, then that continues to suck energy, because even in your your subconscious mind is beating yourself up versus, okay, well, let's look at that. And I did feel so good. And so then the choices, like in a very surface level, the choice is, do I want to feel that same way? And that's really the choice.
I feel like when I'm in like a routine, right? Because I'm not a very routine oriented person. So when I am, the motivation to do it the next day is to keep that routine going, to keep the streak alive, right? Like it's like, oh, well, I've done it 3 days in a row. Now I can make it 4. Now, like it's almost like a competition for myself. Like how many times? And then as soon as it's broken, it's like I've lost the competition. Like I'm done. Like my streak is over. And then you have to start all over again. And I realize that's ridiculous.
No.
But like I feel like that's how my brain sees it. And so it's like, all right, I gotta start all over again. And then it takes so much momentum to get me to actually start over.
Yeah.
Whereas so it took a whole lot less effort to just keep going.
Totally. But I'm going to offer this up to you. What if your streak was you did it for 10 days in a row, and then you gave yourself 2 days, and then you started 10 days again, but the streak is more about keeping the consistency of 10 days.
Like a defined streak. Like with a goal, with an end point.
Like I'll say to you, like I've been getting up and reading, and with daylight savings time, it's been a struggle sometimes to get myself up, but I give myself Sundays. Now this weekend, I gave myself Saturday because I was wiped out, and I then studied on Sunday, right? So for me, it's more about like, okay, I'm giving myself a day to sleep in and not do the study in the morning, how I've been getting up. So for you, like I'm thinking about if it is a competition thing, which I get that, then God, I can never do that too. But creating that streak in a different way. It's not a 10-day streak. It's a 6-month streak. Right? That you're doing 10 days off to, and I'm just using those numbers as the sake of argument.
Yeah.
Then it's 10 days I'm off to, then it's 10 days I'm off to. And if I miss one in the 10 days, that's okay, because I have 2 days within the 12. right? Because then you're motivated to say, okay, well,
Yeah.
I am gonna get up, right? Like I was up really late last night. I woke up at 5 this morning and I thought, I'm just going to lay here a little bit longer. And then I hit snooze until 6:15. I'm like, shit, I got to get up because I got to do my hilt on my bike, right? And so but I didn't beat myself up because I didn't get up and study because I'm doing that then later tonight, right? Like I just shifted my schedule to make sure that I
Yeah.
kept commitment to myself. And that's where I think there's some control thing with the decision fatigue about keeping commitments to yourself.
Mhm.
Because you're really good about keeping commitments to everybody else. And you're good at keeping commitments to yourself when you decide to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But there's nothing wrong with you if there's days in between. But I think it's about setting up that structure for you because it sounds like for you too, the routine is easier when you're in decision fatigue
Mhm.
because then you just know you're going to do this every day at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird to like want a routine when I'm so not a routine person.
Yeah. Well, but that's just
But
decision fatigue, right? Like I was the
yeah.
same, like to go to a personal trainer and have it be the same time every week because then I just show up and they tell me what to do because I don't have to
Right.
make the decision on what I'm going to do to work out, right?
Hmm.
Which is why I suggested even the cookbook because then it helps because then and it might take a week or two to get used to some of the new information, but then it has that longer term effect. And there
this
is,
podcast,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kathy.
this podcast I was listening to was suggesting maybe making the goals um, a little bit smaller in the beginning. Like start with every other day, or start if you can't get yourself to do a walk, just start with I'm going to go outside for 5 minutes, and then you'll remember how good that felt, and the next time it won't be such an uphill battle to flip that switch. And
That's
instead
totally
of
how
like
it went
maybe
with
like
cleaning my office.
yeah. And yeah, because I think I'm only going to clean this one closet, but now all of a sudden all my closets are empty. But he also suggested like, um, oh shoot, I just forgot because I thought of my closets.
Well, it's kind of like Atomic Habits, right? Where the person just showed up at the gym every day for a month to become the person that showed up at the gym every month. And then they're like, and they did one rep and left, right? And then it's like, oh, well, I'm already here. I might as well do more, right? And
Right.
so I think the baby step approach does work, but figure out what works for you. And I think this competitive thing for you is a big driver.
Yeah, I was, I think I told you guys about the podcast I listened to, like kind of when I got into everything back before I went to Vermont and I was doing really well. And he basically said he doesn't create goals, he commits to the process.
Yeah.
And so everything he does is just another step in the process, right? Committing to eating foods that are going to nourish your body instead of make you feel bloated and gross, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
moving your body
And there's
instead of saying like, I'm going to do, this, everybody talks about SMART goals, right? Are they measurable? Are they attainable? Are they, realistic? All those things. And he was like, forget that, because as soon as you don't hit that or you don't think you're going to hit it, you're going to give up. And that's totally me, right? Where I'm like, oh, I've committed to doing this 5 days a week and I've only hit 3. So forget it. Like, why bother? I'm not going to hit 5. So I don't do it the 4th day because I know I'm not going to get it the 5th day.
right.
Right.
That's the
Like,
whole I ate the cookie. Let's like just mess up the rest of the day, right? Like in a
right.
way. Now I'm going to
Right.
leave you with this because it's a little past and I want to respect your time and I'm going to throw this and it's a pretty big one. So I want you to hang on to it and then call me to talk through this. But it almost feels, Pam, like there's some kind of, now don't get defensive right away, but some kind of like punishing yourself for something, right? Like I didn't do this, so I'm going to punish myself and not do this because then it puts evidence in my evidence bank to say that I can't do this. So just chew on that and let's talk about that a little more because it feels like something's resonating with you about that. So, and I hate to like end the call that way, but I know it's a few minutes after and I know you guys have stuff and my accountant's waiting for me too. So,
Yeah. Well, thank
okay.
you.
Love you guys.
Love you.
I'll do this streak with you if I'll send you a check mark every time I follow my meal plan and my workout. Okay.
Right? I was doing that. I was sending you my check marks and then I stopped.
I know. Well, so
But if you said, hey, where's your check mark? Then I'd be like, oh shit, she's paying attention. Now I got to do it.
I was paying attention.
I know, but you didn't say like, I didn't see a check mark today.
I love
right?
you,
Like
but that's not
that's
my
motivating.
responsibility,
I
girl.
know, but that's what like, that would be huge. I'd be like, oh shit, now I Debbie's meeting. Can't let Debbie down, right? Because then I'm like committed to you. I'm like, can't let Debbie down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get where sometimes it helps to have that accountability until you have that accountability for yourself. So,
Yeah.
okay. Love you guys. Have a fabulous day and I'll see you Thursday.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, I won't be there Thursday. I'm at a conference.
Okay.
So I won't see you Thursday.
Cool.
All right.
See you later.